What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Podium Picks. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez here inside the Working Against Gravity studios. And Tommy, Working Against Gravity, I mean, as far as nutrition services go, you got them on top of the podium.
I mean, if you don't have to listen to me, there's been 21,000 people that they have helped with their nutrition. People ranging from ketogenic to intermittent fasting to low carb to carb cycling to me and my wife are trying to get pregnant, to all sorts of different types of things. What they do, and I think what makes them so successful as an online nutrition coach for individuals, gyms, and people that want to be coaches and pursue the profession, is they give you a set of tools to really craft healthy lifestyle habits around your lifestyle, rather than just forcing you into this box that you don't necessarily fit in. We're so grateful to have them on. Yeah. I've been a huge fan of Working Against Gravity because they've helped me in all my crazy endeavors that I have to do, whether, in about a 6-week span, I tried to have a kickboxing fight, a jiu-jitsu tournament, and run an ultra marathon. Let me tell you, Sean, those aren't the same sports at all. So,
no, they are not.
And the DMI coach helped me through all of it, and even helped me build out a nutrition plan for when I ran my ultra marathon, and I was absolutely invaluable. So, they have a special deal for all of our listeners. Elite 50 gets you first month, $50 off your first month of nutrition coaching at WAG. And I highly recommend you head over to their website, because they have a ton of resources for people, even if you don't sign up, whether it's the WAG podcast, where they give a ton of good insight on relationships, life, and building nutrition habits and things like that. So Elite 50 at workingagainstgravity.com gets you $50 off your first month.
Super thankful to have them on board. And yeah, we love our friends at Working Against Gravity. Definitely check them out. So today's episode of Podium Picks, we're going back to the world of pop culture. I'm very excited about this one. This was another loaded field event. We're doing the best sports movies. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be good. But before we get to that podium, we want to honor the athletes in our top 10 in our Whoop group. And we're going to take a look, since it's Monday, we're recording this on a Monday, we're going to take a look at who kicked off their weeks in the most strenuous way possible. So we're looking at our top 10 in day strain.
Yes, our top 10 day strain for today, Monday. What is it? We're like second week
of
of
August. Yeah.
Oh, sweet potato fries, Sean. Oh, man. So these people absolutely kicked Monday's butt. This is, some of them are impressive. Number 1, Liz Dalmas, 20.6. Richie Carey, 20.4. Rebecca Leach, 20.4. Matt O'Brien, 20.3. Brian Lee, 19.6. Danielle Dunlap, 19.6. Nick Hassan, 19.4. Lenny Carlino, 18.6. Anders Mom, Life of Mom, little content creator out over in Europe, 18.6. Tomoko Minami, 18.5. Man, you guys really got after it. And all of them doing a variety of different stuff between martial arts, dance, running, functional fitness. I mean, it is impressive. Congrats, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. And thanks for being a part of our Whoop group. If you're on Whoop and you want to join our Whoop team, go into your settings, click join a team. You enter the code TALK-FIT. Both letters, or both words, I should say, are capitalized. So it's capital T and TALK, capital F and FIT. And FIT has 2 T's, and you'll get on our Whoop group. All right, let's get to the podium picks now. We're really excited about this because Tommy and I are obviously both big movie fans, and we're both big sports fans. So we said, why not combine those two worlds and come up with our best sports movies? And I don't know for sure, but I think you're going to see some generational differences here. I mean, I know you are, because I'll just give you a hint, Tommy. I think all 5 of the movies, and even some of the honorable mentions I'm going to toss out, I think all of them were made before you were born.
Really?
Yes. So
interesting.
Yeah, we're going back a little bit for stuff. That's just a little hint there. Not sure who gets to kick off this week, but I'll let you call the toss in the air. And if you would like to kick off, receive, defer, you let me know.
I will receive.
You receive. Okay.
Yes.
So Tommy's going to go first.
Okay. So we'll start with Spirit of the Games or Dark Horse.
I usually start with Spirit of the Games,
okay.
But you're
all right.
It's your choice. Choice here.
My Spirit of the Games for a sports movie. This might get some people.
Okay.
Happy Gilmore.
You know what? That's awesome, because I actually considered, I was like, that would be a sports movie. You've got to put, it's all about golf. So yes.
And hockey.
It's
a 2-tiered sport. It starts out as hockey.
Yep.
this one is just an all-timer in terms of quotables, right?
That's a good
is that
criteria.
Goal regulation size or what? He's like, I set 2 league records, most time spent on the penalty box, and the only person to take off their skate and try to stab somebody. I mean, you can go all over. One of my favorite quotes of all time is right when when he sees that he has a wooden hand, and he's like, "You're pretty sick, Chubbs." And I don't know why I used to say that all the time, so much so that me and my brother's nicknames for each other are Chubbs, based on Chubbs Peterson, the golfer from Happy Gilmore. I don't know why, it just stuck with me. I mean, you can go with "Exiles Kiss You All Over" as he sings into the intercom. I mean, famous scenes like, "I eat pieces of poop like you for breakfast," and he goes, "You eat pieces of poop for breakfast?" I mean, it just it just set so many things into motion. I think it made golf a little bit more cool to the masses.
And how many people tried to do that run up and and hit the ball approach like he used to do?
Oh, you literally read my mind. I said, who hasn't swung a golf club like Happy Gilmore at the golf range? Come on, step up and try to out hit the amazing golf ball whacker guy. And the opening scene when he's taking pitches it's a baseball movie too. He's taking pitches in the batting cage. I mean, it is given me so many good quotes, and it's one of the kind of cornerstone pieces of like Adam Sandler as a comedic actor.
Yes.
And it's just one of those ones that it stands the test of time. I can go back and laugh at it to this day. And who didn't get that infamous DVD 2-pack of Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore that they used to sell at Walmart for like $7.99? I don't know. I just absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious. I mean, everything from the Gene Simmons references of his grandma dressing up in the Kiss mask. I mean, when he asked Grandma, "Why didn't you pay your taxes?" She's like, "Well, I would have, but I didn't have any money." It was just like that kind of humor. Oh man,
Bob Barker getting in a fist fight.
Oh my gosh,
so like, good.
I hate that Bob Barker guy. He gets sponsored by Subway. I mean, it's beautiful. I had many times laughing to that movie, as well as in college. So that takes me to my dark horse. It is another what I would call 90s classic, but of the kid variety this time. And this one is D2 Mighty Ducks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So not the first one.
Not the first one.
We're getting global here.
Okay.
So when they go to the Junior Olympic Games,
I believe so.
Yeah, this single, I mean,
is that the team they play from Iceland?
Iceland,
the hockey powerhouse that is Iceland.
Exactly. And I mean, think about it now. It makes so much sense in the CrossFit world. It's like all those kids grew up to be famous CrossFitters. They didn't stick with hockey. I mean, who didn't want to be the suave Gordon Bombay growing up as the hockey coach, leading the youth? And you had such an eclectic mix. You had Goldberg, you had Julie the Cat Gaffney as the goaltender. You had the Bash brothers. And this is where it gets really good, is they started to solve socioeconomic and racial tensions, right? Because what happens when these highfalutin, hockey royalty kids get beat down? They go to the streets, and they go to the streets of LA, and they strap on some rollerblades and they throw down with the local youth, and they learn a lesson about life and toughness. And if you can teach Kenny Wu how to fight, stick, gloves, shirt.
Yeah.
Always remember that. That's like rule number one. And then they bring one of the kids on, the knuckle puck, and they hide him. I mean, if you didn't try to shoot a knuckle puck with a roller hockey puck at your parents' garage, I don't know who you are.
You did not have the same childhood I had.
Same childhood as me, and immediately realized that was where you had to suspend disbelief. I loved that movie, and I felt like there was a kid demographic in that movie for everybody. I felt like I always refer to him as Benny the Jet. The kid that played Benny the Jet, that was Rodriguez. Yeah. He was the converted speed skater, but he just couldn't stop. And he finally figured out and scored. So much. I love this movie so much so that 3 years after college, me and my buddies lived in a house just above downtown Monterey. It was basically a frat house. We all went as the Mighty Ducks for Halloween. full jerseys, everything.
Which one were you?
I was Rodriguez.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because remember, they get back to the roots and wear the old school jerseys.
I've only seen it once, I think.
Oh,
twice.
my gosh. And we all wore rollerblades to skate around. And this is getting a little long-winded, but I have to tell this story. We all envisioned ourselves as 11, 12-year-old kids sliding around on rollerblades. So we went out and bought these rollerblades. We parked at the parking garage up above the bars that we were planning on going to for Halloween that year because we didn't want to skate down. Our hill was very, very steep. We get out and we put on our skates and we realize we have to get down the parking garage. And it takes us about 30 seconds before we realize none of us remember how to rollerblade. And one by one, it's like a game of Mario Kart. You see people spinning out and crashing into these helpless parked cars. Me, for all my glory, decide I'm just going to tuck and stay tight, right? And managed to make it around the corner. However, there's a long straightaway, and I'm picking up speed. And all my friends are cheering me on, like, you're going to make it, you're going to make it. Parking arm comes down. That regulates cars coming in.
No.
And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I just purposefully bail. I just get all scraped up. I roll into the middle of the street. There's an EMT.
How did you not die during this experience?
There's an EMT sitting there waiting just for drunk people in Monterey to like need help or whatever. And the guy looks out and he goes, "Mighty Ducks. Nice." And I'm like, "Thanks." He's like,
"Big gulps, huh?"
He's like, "You all right, bro?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right." He goes, "Haven't been on skates in a while." I'm like, "Nope." And he's like, "Have a good night." And it was an excellent night.
Oh, okay. Well, those are two good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Happy Gilmore as Spirit of the Games, and your dark horse D2, the Mighty Ducks.
Yes.
So my Spirit of the Games, we're going way back. In fact, the next two movies were I was 2 years old when this one came out. Rocky.
Oh,
the original Rocky
is
my Spirit of the Games because it spawned a film franchise that is still going on to this day with the Creed movies. It's a term that is now used in everyday sports to determine someone's an underdog. It's his Rocky moment. There are so many famous lines and scenes, in that movie. Of course, the fight with Apollo Creed at the end, where Rocky's just standing there beat up, and he's just won't stop, and Creed's just like, "Are you kidding me on this one?" And you know what I loved about it is that it didn't have the happy ending. Everybody like that you would probably get today that Rocky would win that fight. And he didn't win, and it set it up for a great sequel. And Rocky 2, I still say, is one of the greatest endings in any movie ever. It still gets me on the edge of my seat when the referee's counting and the two of them are on the mat. But it was, and I think it may have won, I think it was nominated for Best Picture. I think it was actually up for an Academy Award. May have won. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, it was just, that movie is so good.
Oh,
Rocky, 1976.
That is a great one.
Like everyone knows Rocky. Everyone's seen Rocky. They've seen one of the movies, and the sequels aren't. I think up to Rocky 4. Those were like Rocky 3 was great because you had Clubber Lang. Hulk Hogan was in it. Thunder Lips.
The fifth one was.
Fifth one is when it started to kind of
when they had the street fight with Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, get him, Daddy. Took my room. No, that's where it. If you ever jumped the shark, that's where it was. Yep. But the Creed movies, the two movies so far, they have been great. Loved them. So I hope that franchise keeps going.
Yeah, the first Creed movie has one of my favorite push-in shots ever. When the final fight, when he goes to fight Pretty Ricky Conlon, and you see Creed standing there in the thing in the ring, and it pushes all the way into the tunnel, and then you just see the fire spitter just illuminate them around, and it turns into slow-mo. You're like, oh yeah. That's awesome.
Rocky is my Spirit of the Games. Now, I'm really proud of my dark horse.
Okay.
Because I don't think a lot of people know of this movie. I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen it. And it is technically, it is in the sci-fi genre. If you were going to go to your local video store and look for this movie on the shelf, you would find it in the sci-fi section. But it is about a sport. This is from 1975.
Oh, gosh.
And it is the original, not the flaming pile of excrement 2002 remake, the original Rollerball with James Caan.
Oh, yes.
So that movie, man, first of all, set in I'm going to take you into the distant future of 2018.
Ooh.
That's when this thing is set. So now it is now set officially in the past. But just to kind of make you say, in this movie, corporations have replaced countries.
Oh,
all right. So just keep that in mind. So maybe they were onto something there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about a game that has been constructed by these corporations, has been come up with by these corporations, that is to basically tell people that individual effort is futile. Like individual effort won't get you anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, James Caan plays one of the stars, a star in the sport. His name is Jonathan E. He is the star in the sport, and he plays for the Houston team, the Energy City. And he is getting too big for the sport. He is basically showing people that, no, you can be an individual. So the whole movie is about how John Houseman, you know that actor, John Houseman, I think he was in the American Express commercials. We do it the old-fashioned way.
Yep.
We earn it. That guy.
Yep.
He's the big bad. So he's the corporation head who's trying this. Basically, they tell Jonathan E. he's got to retire because they want him out. Well, he's not going to retire. He refuses to retire. So the way that the movie goes is that with each successive match that the Houston team plays, they start to change the rules to where there's no penalties. Now there's no penalties. Now there's no substitutions. Now there's no penalties, no substitutions, no time limit. So it basically becomes they're trying to kill him. And you get to, I don't want to ruin it, but the final scene is one of my favorites of all time. There's no music and there's carnage on the track. Like if you're on roller skates and they have motorcycles involved in the sport too. It's just, there's like fires on the track. There's bodies everywhere. And I watched it the other night. It's goosebump worthy, that final scene. Now, if you're going to watch it, keep in mind, it was made in the 70s. So, the uniforms they wear, like old football helmets with spikes on them. It looks real cheesy.
Yeah.
But I was really hopeful when they remade it in 2002 that they would stay faithful to that. And they didn't. It was awful. But yeah, Rollerball, 1975, James Caan. Check it out, man. It's a good one.
Just your classic fight the machine.
Oh, it's so that last scene though, man. It's so good. I'll have to show it to you because it's makes you want to run through a wall.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we get to the podium. So we'll start with your third place pick.
Yeah. So my third place pick. This was tough because I there's one that was an honorable mention that I flip-flopped back and forth for this one, but I just couldn't leave this one on. I watched this one so much, and it was such a big piece of moving forward to is Remember the Titans.
Yes.
And that is in some of Denzel's finest work.
Sunshine.
Yep. Sunshine. Oh, man. We had, I think, on every team after that movie came out, there was one person that was dubbed Sunshine. I mean, there was always. I mean, the speech where he's like, they will remember the day they played the Titans. And you're like, oh my gosh, where's a wall and how can I run through it right now? And this is another one also where I feel like they did a good job of mixing in. And is this based on a true story?
I believe it is.
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't always like, and because they got to not necessarily have everything feel good, because was it Gary Bertier, I believe, is the athlete who gets in the car wreck and is in the hospital and misses the big game, and he's like one of the captains. So it's like there was a little bit of drama, and I mean, obviously the racial aspect of it, it being a coach in Virginia in the 70s, post civil rights era type stuff. So that was one of the ones where and it was a Disney film. So yeah, it was one of the ones where I felt it was a little bit Disney stepping out into that climate.
Yeah, it was a lot more, I guess, it's heavy because I say that than you would expect from a Disney.
And I remember it being as a teenager, it being a way that kind of touched on that topic and made me aware of things. And I don't want to say it was a good introduction into that, but it made me much more aware of things around me, and it made me consider things like that a little bit better. And I really put the value of sports in working on some of those things, and it was important to me that it was a true story. And I mean, they had some heavy hitters like Denzel. I mean, it was one of Ryan Gosling's early ones. Hayden Panettiere, what played Kate Bosworth, was there, but Hayden Panettiere as the daughter that like loved football and was all about the plays. I mean, I thought it was a really, really well made film, and like the dancing and the camaraderie of the football team. And then this is kind of an aside, but it has one of, in my opinion, in movies, one of the most hilarious passage of time scenes when they show up to the coach's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the lead players, he basically just has a 70s mustache now. And it was like, he looks exactly the same, but he just has a mustache.
Some facial hair on him.
I'm like, these guys don't look a day older than what they were, even as like 13, 14. I was like, wait a second.
Hang on a minute.
Something ain't right here. But it was a pretty awesome movie. And I remember just kind of the touches of like touching on racism in a way that was accessible to me, that had an impact on me.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Remember the Titans. I remember seeing that at the theater. That was a good one. Okay, so that's third place for you. So third place for me. Again, we're going back here, and this is one of the ones that I switched a couple times.
Okay,
and I had to apply a criteria. So I was like, first of all, how many great scenes are in the movie? How much do I quote it? And how likely am I to drop the remote if it's on? So number 3 for me is Caddyshack.
Oh yeah.
And so that's I think it was one of the first movies about golf like that I ever watched. And there's just, I mean, it's one of those movies that if you play golf, you've seen. If you've ever been on the golf course, you've quoted. Who hasn't been? Bill Murray, Cinderella Story, Tears in His Eyes, It's in the Hole, that one, or Pool Pond. Pond to be good for you. I mean, they're just, I could go on forever. It's like, would you get a free bowl of soup when you buy this out? Oh, it looks great on you. But
so what? Let's boogie.
So yeah, there was you scratched my ankle. In fact, I think it still exists. It's at the World Golf Village in St. Augustine. There's like Murray Brothers Caddyshack restaurant that's all about like golf themed, and I think they play that movie on a loop. But yeah, so Caddyshack for me, because it's just, I mean, it's like an ultimate guy movie. You just kind of go out and you're playing golf with your buddies and goofing around, and but it's just one of those that is like the quotes are synonymous with going out to a golf course. If you're on the golf course with your friends, quotes from that movie are guaranteed to come out at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it has stood the test of time as well. Like it's one of the, you go back and watch and it's still funny.
Well,
some of Chevy Chase, we're waiting. Some of Chevy Chase's best work. I mean, Bill Murray's phenomenal in it. The Judge, they just so many just great archetypes and villains, like the snobs. And my favorite is one of my favorite scenes is like it's like caddy day at the pool. It's like last it's like 110 to 115. I'll just come like rolling in and just chaos everywhere. So so number 3 for me is going to be the original Caddyshack.
So I got that going for me,
which is nice. See, there you go.
Me and my buddies say that that whole sequence about the Dalai Lama.
big hitter
that Lama.
He's going to stiff me.
Fun aside, Bill Murray has his own golf apparel company.
Oh wow,
called William Murray Golf. I'm planning on picking up a polo from them. But yeah.
All right. Top 2 here.
Top 2. All right. So you kind of touched on one of these for my second pick. My second overall pick for sports movies is actually Rocky IV.
Oh, yes, Rocky IV. Now correct me if I'm wrong, that is the Ivan Drago movie. Which love that movie as a kid. That was a great Rocky. I mean, that was Cold War,
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't care what you read in your history books. The Cold War did not end in 1991. It ended 6 years prior upon the release of Rocky IV when, Rocky Balboa gave the infamous speech of, if I can change, you can change. Everybody can change. Single-handedly.
And all the Russians are cheering for him at the end. Yeah, that's going to happen.
And single-handedly. I mean, this, as far as pure sports movies goes, this has everything, talking the full hero's journey. There's heartbreak, vengeance, guilt with Apollo, the loss of a loved one and a companion, unbridled patriotism. Who doesn't love that intro with James
awesome
Brown?
80s montage?
There's no easy way out.
Which, by the way, one of the best soundtracks ever.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say Rocky IV is the training montage
easily.
I mean, in some of the quotes too, like if he dies, he dies. I mean, it's probably one of the most meme-worthy old movies that people still watch and reference. I mean, I just remember, and one of the things nobody talks about, that bout happens on Christmas.
Yeah,
like who schedules a super fight in Russia on Christmas?
Rocky does. That's who, Tommy.
I mean, I'm not too keen on like the religious affiliations of Russia. I mean, they're like Orthodox Christian or something like that, but they would certainly not want to fight on Christmas. But still, I mean, that just shows you how much it breaks down barriers. And I mean, every time I think about like, oh man, I got to put in some work, I think about Rocky carrying a log up the Siberian mountainside
with that song.
Oh my gosh! Who
didn't put that song on while you're working out in the gym? Guilty as charged.
I'm gonna sling some tin if I hear that song. That's for sure. Yeah, it's I mean, that one was. Whew, that movie made me proud to be an American.
That's right, man. Rocco. Great flick. Love that. Fantastic. I remember seeing that at the theater too. That was a good movie. All right. So now I'm at my number 2. So my number 2 is actually this is another old one. This is I believe 1976. So I was 2 years old.
Ooh.
This is the original Bad News Bears.
Oh yes.
So to me, this
Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau is Buttermaker. Tatum O'Neal I think her name's Amanda, was the pitcher. You had Kelly Leak. That guy's still around. Like he was in he played one of the characters in Semi-Pro.
Oh yeah.
He's like the guy who was like kept trying to cash the check. Like that's him.
Yeah.
But it was the first. So it's the first
corn dogs guy.
Exactly.
Corn dogs.
So it was like the first kids sports movie that I can remember ever watching about a team of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch it, when I was young, when you watch it, it's just that's really what it's all about. But when you watch it when you're older, you really, especially the end where the Bad News Bears, or the Bears are playing the Yankees for the championship, you really see that final game in a whole new light. And you see it as it showcases in one sort of game all the best about youth sports and all the worst. And it starts out as it really is just now becoming a battle of egos between these two coaches who just want to beat each other and they don't care about the kids. Mm-hmm. And it turns into Walter Matthau being like, Ogilvy, shut up and go hit the ball,
Yeah.
And he understands that, okay, I went too far, and you get to see him pull back a little bit while the other guy doesn't, ends up hitting his own kid in front of everybody who's watching the game. But it's one of those things that it's so relatable to me, not for that reason, but because those diamonds in the parks where they're playing, it looks exactly like where I played baseball growing up. Mm-hmm. And then what's hilarious too is you watch it and you realize how much things have changed. And I think I was telling you about this scene, is that there's a scene where Buttermaker is Walter Matthau's character. He's like driving to go clean a pool because that's his day job, and he's in this old Cadillac convertible. He's got 9 kids in this thing. This roof is down, so he's got 3 in the front seat, no seatbelts, 3 in the back seat, no seatbelts, and then 3 sitting on top. So they're like just one bump from going, what over tea kettle out the back
for being an 8-person team
and suffering an injury. And meanwhile, he's sucking down a heater, and he's got an open canister or open container of Jack Daniels in the car.
Oh my gosh!
So, and it's also, I think, where you got a lot of like the stereotypes of like the catcher's got to be fat, and that was Engelbert.
Yep.
And then I'll never forget, like Tanner was the who was always trying to fight everybody. Mm-hmm. And what I really like about it too is that it's not polished, and it's not like you would see today with, and again, you probably get a different ending than you got back in 76, but the kids felt like they were real. Everything felt real. Like it wasn't staged, and it felt like it was genuine. And, I can remember growing up with kids who looked like that.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those movies, like I said, when it's on, remote's going away, and then I'm watching the whole thing, and I still laugh out loud at it.
Yep.
Yeah. So Bad News Bears, number 2.
So we're very close in that. Like, I think we have the same reasoning for some of this too. And I think we've talked about it, but this movie is actually in my top 3 all-time favorite movies. I've actually mentioned it on this show before, involving some songs. Mm-hmm. But my number 1 overall sports movie.
What's number? Did you do number 2 already?
I did number 2.
Okay, wow, number 1. Okay, yes, all right.
Yeah, so this is my number 1. Is The Sandlot.
Oh, I knew. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, to me, it's just a great little slice of Americana right there. It's for anyone not familiar, it's a 1960s period piece, a coming of age tale about a eclectic group of neighborhood kids whose life and identity revolve around their games of baseball at their local Sandlot Diamond, and I believe in the summer of 1962. I love the lovable band of idiots, like the ragtag kids, and just like, and that it does that, but it definitely feels more real. I mean, it covers everything from the development of friends with the new guy showing up and trying to fit in. Some of the race when you talk about James Earl Jones playing, and the difficulties of family, having a stepfather not connecting with one another, and that being a sense of source of tension for him. Adversity, experimentation, a ridiculous non-PC attempt at wooing a girl, which pays dividends later.
Squints can't swim.
And I mean, some absolute iconic scenes. The pool, when Squints fakes drowning.
Squints is going to the deep end. Squints can't swim.
Squints can't swim. And Wendy Peppercorn, pretending he's dead. It's like, oh man, he looks like a dead fish. And then he plants one on her as she goes to give him CPR. The trash talking with the other team, with like the fancy team. He's like, you bought for apples in the toilet and you like it. The final one isn't PC either now, because and I will say this, the final dig that forces them into a game is you play ball like a girl. And I say that because my fiance was a collegiate softball player and is way better at baseball and or softball than I will ever be. So I think it's interesting how that has evolved since then. Then I'm trying to think, the 4th of July sequence, which you talked about with Ray Charles, America the Beautiful. Yeah. The Chaw scene is when they go on the ride.
Oh,
they take the big mouths of Red Man. That's the experimentation part. Pickling the Beast and all they have the erector set. They steal a vacuum. I mean, all of these scenes, just kind of capture just the just kind of free flowing nature of childhood during summertime.
Yeah.
I grew up and I was very fortunate to have a group of neighborhood kids that like every day you wake up, you eat something, and you go out and you play all day. And you don't really get that as much anymore. But this like captured it so well, because, it is about baseball, but it's all about like baseball is the avenue for them to like go out and explore life and, try chew for the first time, attempt to woo a girl, to, deal with enemies and things like that. And some of the quotes are phenomenal. "You're killing me, Smalls" is all time. Some of Squints' digs at people, "Hurry up, Benny, my clothes are going out of style," is like just like classic. When he says "forever" in the sleepover scene, the trash talking from the great Hambino, the catcher.
Yep.
When he's talking to the other team, he goes, "If my dog was as ugly as you, I'd shave its butt and teach it to walk backwards." That crushed me every single time. And then he says, "Hey, is that your sister out in left field? I think she's naked." And then the guy misses it, and he goes, "Hey, shut up." He's like, hey, you think she'd go out with me?" It's like total ball busting. I mean, it's like, you can't portray that stuff now, and understandably so. But it's just like it. I don't know why. Like that's a one I always absolutely have to watch, and it even like the final scene that like makes him go after the Beast. When he meets Babe Ruth and he's like, "Remember, kid, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart. You can never go wrong." It's like, who doesn't believe in that now? And then it gives you the final scene when Benny the Jet is older and in the major leagues. And I use the quote, "Looks like the Jets lost a step or two. Wouldn't be surprised to see some fireworks, though." Every time one of my old washed up buddies attempts something athletic, I use that every single time.
That's how you preface it.
Exactly.
All right. Yep. Yeah. Sandlot. That's a good one, man. And like I was going to say, it's a reminder that when you used to just go out and play with your friends, and
totally.
I don't know if kids still do that, but like you would just go up to the local baseball field and hit the ball or do whatever, you'd play a sport.
Yeah. I think about the 4th of July scene where they have the neighborhood picnic.
Yeah.
And Hambino just is like rushing through the neighborhood.
Yeah. And
he just like stops for grab a hot dog. Like people don't do that nowadays.
Yeah.
There isn't that
especially now.
Yeah. There's not that neighborhood structure anymore, unfortunately, but yeah. Yep.
Well, you're talking about lines. I mean, there's a line in Bad News Bears that is infamous that you could not, that a kid says that you couldn't do today. And I think they changed it in the remake. But anyway, I digress. So now I'm to number one. No shocker here. Number one to me is Slapshot.
Mhm.
This was a distant number. There was no one even close to this. And again, a lot for the same reasons why, Caddyshack is because if you are a hockey player, you know that, first of all, that movie captured what goes on in the locker room and on the ice perfectly.
Mhm.
The chirping, all the chatter back and forth in the locker room. It is, in fact, I don't know if I read it or I heard it in an interview, but the woman who wrote that movie had brothers who played hockey, and she would put a tape recorder in her brother's bags so she could get genuine dialogue, what it sounded like in a locker room. And that's part of how she got it. And there are so many quotes and so many great scenes. I mean, the Hanson brothers' first shift on the ice when it's like, these guys are a disgrace, and they're just beating the tar out of everybody, and greatest shift in hockey history. The stick down, down, they go in the corner with that guy, and they're all just like giving him the business and kicking him and stuff. There are times where I've been playing, beer league hockey, and I've sat next to my friend, and the whole time that's all it's just lines from the movie. Don't let him push you like that. Give him some of that back. Old time hockey. Putting on the foil, guys. Come on. And it's another one of those movies where it doesn't end the way. I mean, it just gets so absurd at the end where Ned Braden decides that this is a circus. I'm going to go out and just, do a strip tease and and win the trophy for the Charlestown Chiefs. But yeah, it's and the other thing that I appreciate about it as well is that when you watch sports movies, so often the action looks fake and it looks overly choreographed and it doesn't look real. That looks real. They look like they are actually playing. And I think the director decided to put like a camera on skates and try that out. And there's a lot of shots that you can see where it's on a sled and you can see that they're doing there. And there's some things that are obviously staged, but I mean, Paul Newman, I think he said that Reg Dunlop was one of his favorite characters. And one of the lines in there that I can't repeat was one of the one favorite that he ever uttered. He was just what a effing nightmare. Just like say that in his car. But yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites. I will always watch it whenever it's on. I quote it all the time. And if you are a hockey player worth your salt, you have seen it multiple times and you have quoted it multiple times. So it's just, and I think Maxim magazine named it the #1 guy movie of all time.
Oh, okay.
So that was a few years back. But anyway, so that's my #1, Slapshot. Can't beat it. Best hockey movie ever made.
And underrated. I feel like both of those, so Sandlot and that, have spurned off like, I guess like apparel type memorabilia stuff. So you could like wear stuff from the movie that kind of, to me, that cements them in pop culture as well.
I was actually looking at a Charlestown Chiefs 1977 Federal League T-shirt the other day about getting ready to buy that. But let's there was what?
I have Smalls's hat with a fish on it.
Yeah, you do. Okay, I left a ton off. So what are some of the? Let's get your honorable mentions. We'll do honorable mentions.
Okay, I had a couple. Love and Basketball and He Got Game were both there for me. He Got Game was the one that was almost third for me. Another Denzel. It was the battle of Denzel movies, right? With Jesus Shuttlesworth and one of Spike Lee's first big ones, at least from sports perspective. Tin Cup. I loved Tin Cup.
Yes. Give me another ball, Romeo. Really just dropping it. That's great.
Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings. All right.
White Men Can't Jump.
Yes. That's one that almost made it for sure.
Bull Durham. Field of Dreams.
Major League.
Major League was one. And Joe Boo's Rum.
That's right. Yeah. Clothing.
Yep. I know we're going to get guff for it for not having Rudy on, but
yeah,
I feel like, granted, it was a great movie and it was very inspirational. But you know what killed it for me a little bit? And I don't know this for sure, but I heard that Rudy was kind of a jerk.
I've heard that as well.
In real life.
But I do think that, we may be saving that movie possibly for another list we might do. I'll just throw that out there. That might make another list that we're gonna do.
Jerry Maguire.
Oh yeah.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
And then honestly, another one that was really close for my Spirit of the Games because of the soundtrack was Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Because the music was produced by Explosions in the Sky, which is a very it sounds like cinematic movie stuff, like composition. And the actual that Friday Night Lights is like resonates with me so much because my high school is a big football high school and we won our equivalent of state our senior year. It was this epic comeback. Our football team had gone through all sorts of ups and downs. Fun fact, our football team was voted the best team in the last 30 years in our county.
Wow.
So Monterey County Herald went through, I think, the top 10 teams in the last 30 years or something like that. And my senior year was
that's
number
awesome.
one. It was, but we just had so many good people. I mean, and characters and stuff like that. And we weren't without our drama too, but yeah, we had like this epic finish. So Friday Night Lights and just how much it was important to us and how it seemed like it was the world to us in that like little piece of slice of town that we had really, really stuck with me. And then the music at the end is just phenomenal. So
yeah, the ones that almost made it for me. In fact, the dark horse I was going to say was Victory.
Oh yeah,
from I think it's 81 or 82 with Michael Caine, Pele, and Sylvester Stallone, which is a fantastic soccer movie. And in fact, Pele does this bicycle kick in there that's just phenomenal. And we all, like as kids, tried to, I think a lot of us ended up with bruised spines trying to replicate that. Yeah, kick it up, do it. There was that one. There was The Natural, which I love because the ending scene in that you can't beat.
Yeah.
And then Major League was up there, and then I'm trying to think. I think there was one more, but yeah, Tin Cup almost. That was one that I thought about. Longest Yard, the original, for sure, not the remake. But yeah, those like Victory and The Natural were two that almost got on there. So you haven't seen, if you're a soccer fan, go watch Victory. It's set in World War II, great movie. And you get to see Sylvester Stallone as a goalie. So what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to think. Field of Dreams was another one.
Yeah.
I almost say. I don't know if it's really a movie, a sports movie, Talladega Nights.
It's a sports movie.
Or Blades of Glory.
Yeah, those qualify. Yeah, those definitely qualify. Talladega Nights, I guess, and Days of Thunder were really the only two NASCAR movies. There's an old one with Kenny Rogers called Six Pack. But other than that, yeah.
Chaz Michaels, the only ice skater to win 4 consecutive national U.S. championships and star in an adult film.
I mean, anything with Will Ferrell, like it's Semi-Pro would be another one too.
Semi-Pro,
that'd be a great one. So that was a lot of fun, man. I really thought about some movies I hadn't seen in a while. I'm like, I got to go back and watch that.
Yeah,
like, Victory is one I definitely got to go watch. Natural, I want to go watch Rollerball again as well because like
I got to go watch that one now.
Man, it's really good. So
there was one with rugby that was really good. Invictus.
Oh yeah, that was good. And then there was another one. I haven't seen it, but this I think is documentary, which we didn't include documentaries. That's Murderball.
Oh yeah,
that was supposed to be really good as well.
Yeah,
so,
we decided we were going to separate documentaries out.
Might do another one of those later. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Podium Picks. Really would love to hear what you guys have to say because I like to. Everyone brings one up every now and then. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that one. How did I put that one on?
Yeah.
So let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you guys real soon.